welcome to Off Track, the Rich Energy podcast. This week, I'm joined by Michael Crees, the British touring car driver and Rich Energy ambassador. A new one for me because, as you know, I'm normally into the two-wheel side of it, and so four wheels is a bit of a departure for me. Michael, welcome to Off Track.
Cheers, mate. How are you?
Really good, thank you. You coping okay with everything?
Yeah, it's been a funny couple of weeks, obviously since Brands and winning the Jack Sears trophy. It's just sort of sinking in now, really, because when that sort of stuff happens, it takes a little while for it to nail down, and especially with such a young career in motorsport, it's just been a whirlwind of a couple of weeks, to be fair.
You're doing the intro for me because I'm going to come into all of that. But last night, that's the easiest thing to do is you line it up for me and then we can knock it out the park. It works that way. See, as you said, you relatively short career so far as a driver. To see you in sort of late 30s, you'd think you'd been around sort of 20 years in touring cars and 10 years on go-karts and single-seaters and everything else. But you came into the sport quite late, didn't you? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, it started. I started a business, a plumbing and heating company, and I started to have a bit of spare money, which I normally lived hand to mouth, month to month, like anyone, like normal. And I started a company, had a bit of extra cash at the end of the month, and decided to go karting at my local track. This was sort of 4 years ago, and I ended up entering a race, and I won it, but I didn't realise that race was quite a competitive race for Buckmore Park, and ended up winning it by like miles, and after the race, they said, "Oh, you wouldn't mind doing the hire kart championship," because Buckmore Park were one of the selected tracks in the UK to run the hire kart championship. So I said, "Yeah, all right, I'll do that," and so I entered all 8 rounds. I had 8 wins, 8 fastest laps, 8 pole positions, and just nailed it. And ended up winning the national championship for the UK. And then Buckmore Park then sent me out to France for the World Finals. And obviously, I'm going out there thinking, "Oh yeah, like this is all right. World Championships, World Championships of something is got to be amazing." And turned up with this to make you laugh, like. Like the pop-out tables with a like a kettle, and like it's a 24-hour race. It's a 12-hour race, sorry, and it's called the Saudi World Finals. And we turned up, and there was 3 people selected. Piers Pryor being one of them, who's now racing in F4. And so we've pitched up, and we've got our camp chairs and stuff, and then like Dubai fly in. And they've got like proper like beds. They've got people massaging them. They got like they've got the big refrigerators, and like in their garage is just like $1 million, and ours was like a pop up like. So anyway, I went out in qualifying in the World Finals, and I actually put it on pole position for the first qualifying session against Italy, and like Italy had been champions for the last 3 or 4 years, and a kid from England has just pitched up there, like I didn't even know my way around the track, and it's been there for years. And and I've done really well out there. We actually come I think 13th in after the 12 hours, after what's like a few problems and bits and pieces, and but I drove really well that weekend. And as when I come back, I got a message from John Surtees, obviously Formula 1 world champion and motorbike world champion, the only person to ever do it, I think. If I'm correct, and his son obviously died in a fatal accident at Brands Hatch, and they'd done the Henry Surtees Foundation. So he invited me along to Buckmore Park to race in the Henry Surtees Foundation. So me being me, he was like, "Yeah, all right, I'll do it. Like, I'll come along." Pitched up there. I think there was like Ben Barnacle, there was Jack Aitken, who's now like testing the Formula 1 car next week at Williams. There's there's some top names there, like all Formula 1 drivers now, basically, or like GT racers, all getting paid factory drivers. So there's 24 of them and me, and I actually qualified 21st out of 25, and I remember being in my little van, and I was sitting in there waiting for like after qualifying, and I was sort of said, "Oh no," and I said to myself, "I've never been at the back," And I actually, it was a 15-minute race, and in 15 minutes I drove from last and come second overall and won the heavyweight class, and on ITV with Steve Ryder and John Surtees, and like it was just one more lap I'd have won the whole thing. And the thing was with him, we were in the Club 100 car, which are a bit quicker than the normal hire cars, and they were all super fast over one lap. So they were all like 60 kilos, where I was 83 kilos. So when we got into racing, I started 21st, and I just didn't even break into turn one. I just loaded them all up to the first corner. But I made 10 places on the first lap because everyone was just like flying off the track, and I just came through. And they're all good professionals, but they're all just sitting there like not making any moves. And I was just going for every chance, and ended up driving really well, and you know, like me being me, I got out, I'm bouncing off the walls, I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe it's like TV cameras in my face. I'm just thinking, what is going on? And then we sat down. I mean, I'm sorry to go on.
No, it's all about you, mate. Don't worry about me.
This is a great story. This is better story of how I got there than you know where I am now. But and we sat down, and John Surtees is sitting next to me, and I'm just like, this is like so surreal for me. And you had to pick your prizes in where you finished, and I'm sitting around this table with like sort of 7-8 lads, and they're, you know, like I say, like all lads that are going to Formula One, and obviously my second prize, but the prizes were like, you could never imagine, like a 4-day test with Ferrari at Maranello and stuff like that, like serious prizes, like money can't.
A bit more than M&S picnic hamper, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it was like crazy, right? So I sort of looked around that, and John said to me, like, what do you want? And I was like, look, you know, a 4-day test at a ref with Carlin and like so many. And I just was like, look, I'll be honest with you, I'm 32, and no, 32 it was. And I said to him, look, I'll tell you what, let all these boys pick, and then I'll have whatever's left. Because I said, you know, I'm not going to Formula One. You know, I wish I'd have done this earlier, because I could have done, but you know, who knows? And he just said to me, do you know what, that's the most unselfish thing I've ever had. And he gave me a load of Puma like race suit boots, like fireproof underwear, gloves. He gave me a crash helmet that I've still got to this day, and then he ended up giving me 3 hours in the Formula One simulator with David Coulthard and the engineer, and you know, up a big tour of the factory all day, at, you know, lunch and that up there, and just it was just an incredible experience. Went with my dad, and you know, at 15. Sorry,
which simulator was that?
So in Milton Keynes, where the factory was, it's like a secret door. They take your mobile phone off you, like sticker up the cameras, and then like you go into the secret room where the simulator is, and it's just like, I think Pierre Gasly was just come out just before me as I was going in and stuff like that. It's crazy, man. And
so what team was it? What
team? Red Bull.
Oh, it was with Red Bull.
Red Bull. Yeah, it was with Red Bull in their factory. Yeah, and
maybe we shouldn't say that too many times.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
I only just realised I didn't catch where it was.
We'll edit that. We'll cut that. Yeah, so it was an amazing experience. And like, I had 3 hours in the simulator, and after 15 minutes, I had to get out of the Formula One car because my leg literally wasn't strong enough to push the brake pedal. So I had to have like 15 minutes in, a couple of minutes out, like sort of, you know, stretching, and they had everyone there like preparing me for it. And I ended up only about 1.7 seconds off Coulthard's time around the A1 ring at the end of the 3 hours. Do you know what I mean? With the you had like a proper crash helmet with the engineer, you know, telling you exactly what it's like in a Formula One car. And it was incredible. Like the strength you have to have for your arms and your legs is just, you just cannot imagine it. And your neck, like my head felt like it's going to fall off in about 10 minutes. You know, it's just incredible. And then after that, like John Surtees and that said, you know, I was like, what cars do you race? And I was like, I don't know. I just came up with like, I had to go at this car. And so it went on a bit like that. And the Surtees family, just, you know, Leonora's daughter has been really supportive of me from Buckmore Park. And anyway, we got into Ginettas with a company called Want to Race. you know, with a guy called Ben Highland, and he sort of said, look, come along, let's see if we can do a deal. We phoned up and said, can you get 30 grand together by Saturday? And this was a Tuesday, and I had no money, and I was like, okay, well, I'll ring around a few people that I was doing business with at the time, and I got in contact with a guy called Vince, and it all went from there. He sponsored me and bought the car and put me into Ginetta G40s, and I went off and put it on pole position in my first ever round on the British GT weekend by 7/10. I ended up winning my first race there. Went on to win the championship in the G40. Never been on a car on a track before, on a racetrack, and never even been in a car. I went out, done 2 days testing in Spain in this Ginetta, and come back straight to Alton Park and put it on pole. It's quite crazy, and then it snowballed from there. I won the championship, and then they basically said to me, "What are we going to do now? We're going to go GT5. We're going to go where we're going to go." And sorry, someone just rang me. I have to cut that. They sort of said, "Where are we going to go? GT4, GT5, you know, whatever." And I said, "Well, let's go GT4 Super Cup on the British Touring Car Paddock and try and get our name out there on the telly. You know, get the brands and the sponsors." Sorry, mate. Sorry,
no problem.
Get the brand and the sponsors out, and so we pitched up. We had a 2-year plan in Ginetta GT4. We've gone from 120 horsepower to 400. You know, that was the jump that we done. I jumped in the car, put it on pole position, won all 3 races that first weekend, and went on to win the championship in my second year racing. And so we looked at the end of that and was like, where do we go now? Like, and we were looking at Porsches, you know, British Cup. So I don't know why he keeps ringing me. I keep cancelling it. But Super Cup. Like, we were looking at Porsche Carrera Cup for the GB, and in the end, the budget for that was the same as a touring car. And Tony Gillan from Team Hard offered me a driving touring car and said, "Look, you know, you're a local lad. I'll give you a chance in a touring car." Pitched up at my first ever touring car race. It was rained and it was just drying out, and I was like, "Look, let's go slicks." It was still wet. Qualified 27th out of 30, and I ended up coming 12th and scoring points and beating Jason Plato, Colin Turkington, and all that in my first ever race. So I couldn't have made a better first impression, and I went on to celebrate like I won the championship, and the fans just really took to me, and I'm really grateful for that. And the media took to me, and we've become this sort of fan favourite. And you know, we're just going from strength to strength. And obviously, signing for BTC Racing this year, I knew I was going to have a massive uphill struggle with Tom Chilton and Josh Cook as my teammates. You know, very capable drivers, and Tom's been in it since he's 15. And so we set our goals quite high, and we wanted to win the Jack Sears, and we succeeded. So I've just had a monumental roller coaster ride. Sorry to go on.
No, don't apologise. This show's about you, Creasy. It's not a problem. Seriously, what a Herculean rise to fame. That's just what a story.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable, isn't it? People just like wow, has that actually happened? And
it's a proper boy's own story, isn't it? If you could write your career, that's exactly how you would want it to pan out.
Yeah. Well, there's a book coming soon, so
he's got this man.
I've been morphed now. Look, I've got my own electric car.
See, where do you go from there?
I mean, honestly,
that's the pinnacle.
For me, that is like, do you know what I mean? Like, you grow up playing like Scalextric, and then you end up getting your own car. So,
and you have your own car. That's it. You can retire now. You can retire happy. You know, the Jack Sears trophy, your own Scalextric car. That's it.
That's what I'm thinking. I was thinking take a leaf out of Nico Rosberg's book and just go, you know what, I'm done, boys. But I enjoy it too much. I genuinely like. I remember following and paying to go in and watch the touring cars only 5-6 years ago. You know, like getting in the boot so we don't have to pay for an extra ticket and stuff like that. You know, smuggling your way in and stuff like. You know, and it's just crazy now. I'm out there racing the best in the UK and the world in touring cars.
I think it's just a fantastic story, and your enthusiasm is there for all to see. And also go up on YouTube as well. So to actually see you and the enthusiasm that you have, it's great to hear it, but to see it as well is testament to you and where you are now. The Jack Sears Trophy, massively important in British touring cars. Give us a little bit of the history of the trophy and what it means to you to win it, and how it will then enhance your career going forward.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, Jack Sears was the first ever champion of touring car. And it's quite funny, actually, because obviously when I knew I was in the hunt for winning it, I thought I better do a bit of research here. And it was out of two of them back in 1958. And they actually flicked a coin to see who won. And then, so that's how that was decided, because they equal points and stuff like that. And then they was arguing about, you know, going around the track and, you know, jumping in each other's car, and that's how, like, that, you know, they wanted to settle it to see who was the quickest and stuff. But yeah, you know, he gone on to he was a legend, you know, and sadly died a few years ago. But, you know, the names on the cup, you know, Ash Sutton, double champion now, you know, Josh Cook, my teammate, who I know how good he is, you know, I've seen it firsthand, and he's unbelievable. You know, Dave Neal, Lee Wood, Rory Butcher, you know, unbelievable driver, Senna Proctor, you know, all these guys, and my name's on that trophy with them. And sadly it's not here. It's my manager's got it at the moment, showing it off to people. But yeah, it's incredible. And the thing is, I'm an actual champion in a pro series now. I mean, Ginetta, more amateur, if you like. Not, you know, I was amateur in the 55 against the pros, even though I was competing with the pros. But I won the Amateur Cup. But to win the Jack Sears, you know, at this level is incredible. And you know, and I've got lots of offers on the table for next year, because of that reason. And teams know that I can put it inside the top 10. And I'm only getting better. I'm only getting quicker and quicker every time I get in the car, where all the others are at their peak. So, you know, people are trying to sign me for 2-3 year deals now, because obviously they can see that within 3 years we're going to be a serious title contender.
Yeah, we look at the potential to come. This is only the first year, and with the first year with
BTC this racing. Year, and it's only my second year in touring car, and everybody knows how tough it is in touring car. You know, your first year is pretty much written off, because, you know, to learn it is incredibly difficult.
Now, I watched some this year, and I watched Snetterton. So it was fairly iffy weather, I think, but the sun was going down. It was starting to get dark. And as I said at the top of the show, I haven't watched touring cars for a long time, because I've always been focused on the bikes. And we were sat in the living room downstairs, and we see it as on ITV4. So I flick over, and I'm just watching it, and it's like, what the rubbing, I know rubbing's racing, but it's like, it's just testosterone fueled bumper cars. It's, how do you cope with that coming up from Ginettas and from the karts?
Yeah, I mean,
that level of, it's a reasonable amount of contact.
Yeah. I mean, but that's why we have 60,000 fans. Watch. Yeah, I mean, that's why we have 60,000 coming through the door, because it's very up close and personal. You know, we all know that Formula One's a bit stale at the moment, if that's fair to say. I mean, you know, you after the first lap, you know, everyone slots in, gives each other a 2-second gap, and it's all done on strategy. And where us, we, you know, the whole grid was covered, 30 cars were covered by a second of a lap, you know, which is incredible. You know, that to get that split over 30 cars is a credit to TOCA, a credit to the championship. And I just feel like, you know, you need a learning year, because when you're whacking door handles at 150 mile an hour, it's quite weird and surreal. And there is an art to it. Like, you know, you have to learn your stripes. And last year, you know, I saw some quick guys, and, you know, quick guys start from the back if they've had a dodgy first round or second round, and, you know, people will crash and they start from the back of the grid, and you've got to give respect. But then now, where I've done my learning year and I gave that little bit of respect, now I'm actually fighting with the top 10 and top 15. You get that little bit of respect back. And and you do get a whack every now and again and stuff like that, and you just got to get your elbows out and give as good as you get, and and that's the way I play it anyway.
It's a love taps are us.
Yeah, I mean, Brands Hatch, I got quite a big one there like the other week, and I was going into the corner, just thinking, oh, yeah, bang up the back, yeah, there it is. You just know it's coming. Do you know what I mean?
So this all kind of to the greater degree in the rules, so you can just nudge somebody out of the way or just tap them into a spin. And how does that work?
The last 2 years,
where's the line?
The last 2 years, they're trying to sort of clamp down on that a little bit. You know, before you could go in, lean on someone, push them wide, and go through and carry on, and then that you fully expect them to lean back on you and go through. But now it's like a push to pass. So if you do make contact and you do go past, you have to let them back past, otherwise you get a strike, and then strikes build up, and then you get banned and stuff like that. So in all honesty, it's really working, I think, because you are going to make mistakes when you're pushing for them hundredths of a second, and you know, just to knock someone and go past, and you know, just to let them back through and then beat them again into the next corner is part of the game. So that's, you know, there's some masters at it, definitely.
There's an art to that, and that's part of the learning curve that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and I'm definitely learning, put it that way.
I was watching one of your onboards earlier on from Croft from last year.
Yeah,
and you don't get a moment's rest in the car really, apart from on the straights, do you? The right foot's on the go all the time, and it's constantly sawing at the wheel. Looking at it from the inside, you can see why the guys are as fit as they are.
Yeah, and that was a big thing for me, you know, like learning the car, because go from a rear-wheel drive Ginetta to a front-wheel drive Passat and a front-wheel drive Honda, it's a completely different technique, and I had to learn that pretty fast. And also these touring cars, they have a thing called bump steer, so it's like a rear compression, so the rear will steer for you, so you can go into a corner, sit it down on the compression on the rear, and if you've got like max bump steer, you can pretty much drive around the corner with the steering wheel straight. It's like that weird, and you know, it can catch you out because it gives you a full sense of security of when the car's either rolling over and turning or sliding and you're out of control. So there's a very like a fine feel for that, but you're strapped in, you feel every lump and bump. And yeah, my first ever time at Croft, that was in a touring car. It was pretty scary through there, to be fair. So it was good. I was doing all right as well, and then just had a bit of a mishap right on the last lap.
It's a pretty unforgiving circuit, Croft, isn't it? It's fairly lumpy and bumpy, and
yeah, I do like it. I do really enjoy going there. The atmosphere was amazing. When I come out of my camper, they were all still on the bank like Crees, that. Yeah, it was. So I can't wait to get back there with the fans next year.
Let's hope that would be the best thing, wouldn't it, for whether you follow bikes or BTCC, to get the fans back in. You must have missed them this year. Yeah,
I mean, 100%. I mean, that's been a big part of, you know, why I do this and my career, and if it wasn't for the fans, I definitely wouldn't be where I am now. I mean, to get the drive at BTC last year, I had a seat at Vauxhall alongside Jason Plato, which I was chomping at the bit to get that drive with Plato. Like, you know, my second year of touring car, Jason Plato, my idol of touring car. You know, I'm actually going to be his teammate. That's going to be in the book. You know, all the way up to New Year's Eve, and they pulled the plug on it. And so I was like, what do I do now? I haven't got a drive, and all the seats are pretty much gone. And I put on the internet on New Year's Day, like, still looking for a drive. Like, if anyone's out there, give us a shout. The next hour, the phone rang, because I had over 220 messages on Facebook saying, like, what? You need to get Crees in the car. And that's when BTC picked up the phone and offered me to drive at Honda. And, you know, this day and age, you need to be a full package. You need to present yourself well on social media and media. You need to, you know, be good at your own social media and fans. And the way that I went out last year and done Campsite Live. And it was funny, like, I was walking around the campsites at the first round, and I thought, I'd do something with the fans. And they were like, who's this guy? Like, I didn't know who I am. And then by the end of it, I had like 70, 100 people like following me around the campsite. And all having a good crack, like, they pay their money to see us all weekend. And for me to spend an hour out in the campsite with them and having a few beers, or, not me having a few beers, but,
No.
enjoying their barbecues, and, that's part of it for me. And that's why I can't wait to get that back next year.
But being in that position more recently, and actually being in that position, unlike a lot of the drivers that end up in BTCC, you've been that fan at an age at the circuit with your family.
Yeah.
And then now you're living the dream of being a BTCC racer. So you can go and do those things. You know what it takes to be a fan in a more mature way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, when I've ever paid to go and watch touring car and stuff, and you go down to the paddock, and touring cars different. I've been in the paddock in Formula One, and you can get to the garages or the trucks and stuff, but you can't go in them and stuff, and you can't, like, their hoardings are up, so you can't even see in the garages and stuff. But with touring car, you can pretty much get to the garage and see what's going on, and you can grab the drivers as they're passing the trucks and stuff. So what I wanted to do is think about all the feelings I had when I was there as a fan. And so, you see a family turn up, and it's pouring with rain, or it's freezing cold, and there's a mum and a dad and a little boy, and he's loving it. He's looking at the cars, and I just pulled him in, sit him in the car, and make the mum and dad. I would go and make a cup of tea for him, and like stuff, stuff that I would like I would remember that for the rest of my life, as a fan. And I just tend to do stuff like that because I'm a very family guy. My wife Jodie and my two kids, Hugo and Bonnie. I'm just very family orientated, and believe it or not, when I go and do my deals with the teams, that's a big part of it for me. And if the block's on that, then I'm out. And there's no money in the world that can then take the fans away from my passion and what I want to do. And you give people the experience of a lifetime, and it doesn't cost anything.
I think that's brilliant, and that's exactly how it should be, and that's exactly what I was alluding to with the question. It's you know what it takes to be a fan, and now you're a driver, you can give that back tenfold because you know what they would like to experience.
Yeah, and that's why we've just gone from strength to strength with the fans. And I've had so much support this year. I've had highs and lows this year. I mean, I had 6 DNFs in a row with engine problems, and the fans got behind me. I mean, I cannot wait to have them back, because when you have the high and lows in a touring car, and you get out of the car and you feel down and despondent, and then you walk through the paddock and they're like, "Crazy, like, what? Come on, mate!" And then all of a sudden you just forget what's gone on, and you're just like fired up for the next race. And them people out there watching you, cheering you on,
I think, how it should be. So hopefully for 2021, for the bikes and the cars, football, whatever sport people are into, the passion's there. It'd be great to have the fans back. They're part of it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely touring car. It's been so weird not having them this year. It's been really, that's the biggest part of our sport.
Of course, Brands Hatch lifting the trophy. The banking should have been full. The grandstand should have been full. The guys up in hospitality across the way. It's but then for podiums and race wins and things for next year, then they're going to be back. So it's going to be all right. That's
the goal. I mean, that's my goal next year. I can actually finally. First year I was learning, how to deal with everything with touring cars. It's a full-on schedule. And that took a lot of learning and a lot of time and energy and mental strength. And then this year I had to focus on the Jack Sears. But next year I'm going into the season with not a care in the world and just going to want to pick up some trophies, pick up some podiums. And whether I do and I'm near winning the independents, or I'm in for a shout with the title, then so be it. But just to be on that podium next year outright, my own ability will just be the next goal for me.
Excellent. Just as you said that for this year you had the Honda Civic Type R. In Superbikes we have the factory teams and we have the customer teams. Your Honda was a customer Honda?
Yeah, independent. We call
independent Honda.
Manufacturers and independent.
Manufacturing independent. So what were the differences between your Civic and the manufacturers?
So manufacture obviously run by Team Dynamics and Matt Neal, who's been in 30 years, done over 750 or 700 race starts or something that this year, and and he's been noticed for his talent, and Honda have come in, and basically the budgets are a lot better because Honda will invest in development and the car, where we are sort of independent, where we're like a Toro Rosso of a I won't say it, but of a Red Bull, but and we have to. Our cars are all homologated, so they get the change of of an aerodynamic part or an engine part or something like that, and then it gets fed down the line to us. So we can't actually. So it's a lot of in development, and money that Honda throw into that development is massive compared to what we can throw at it.
So the difference then is the talent that makes up the gap in time, because you can only run what you brung.
And the cars are underneath. The cars are the same. But there's some key parts on the car that you can change. Just a bit of cooling package, which makes the cooling temps a little bit lower, so you get a bit more boost, a bit more, like all these little tiny margins, and the factory teams have got enough money to put that in, and the better you get and the more successful you get, the more chance you've got of getting in a manufacturer car. And don't get me wrong, I've had a couple of offers this year to go manufacture, but I'm still very much on the learning curve. I'm still very much an independent. I feel like that's where I want to win the Independence Championship, and then once I've won that, I will be in a manufacturer car going for the overall title, and that's what my dream is, and that's where my path's laid out, I think. So
the feet firmly on the ground as well, to not run before you can walk. So there is that path there that you can follow, and almost if there were ever such a thing, guaranteed drives. So you do the Jack Sears Trophy, which will take you to the next level independent, which will then take you into a manufacturer drive. Would that be right?
Yeah, exactly that. And that's, they're the goals that I want to keep winning, and I want to keep getting these shiny trophies in the cabinet, and keep learning and just going from strength to strength. But I'm not silly. These pros have been doing it since they were sort of 6, 7, 8 years old. Like
they've been doing it since you were 6, 7, 8 years old.
But I'm still like learning massively. I've got a massive learning curve in front of me, and I'm more into that, and that's just the mature side of me, I suppose, than being 17, 18 in this sport, where you just want to be in a manufacturer and going for straight away. I'm really enjoying my time, and I'm really enjoying it, and I want to be here for the next 5, 10 years.
So you win the Independence Trophy next year. Are you going to have the same huge rock and roll night out that you had after you won the Jack Sears?
My Jack Sears night was snuggled up on the sofa with my wife watching I'm a Celebrity, believe it or not.
That's exactly why I asked it.
Very rock and roll. And then we went for a track walk around Brands Hatch in the morning, and it was a ghost town. And I had 4 or 5 beers, and then ended up just it was so emotional, Dave, for me. Like I'm a big believer in like life after death and all this sort of stuff. And I sort of said thanks to my nan and granddad that have always been looking over me, and I always have a little moment. And I've seen, when I've got older, I'm a bit more emotional about things, and like I've never been in touch with myself that side, and winning something like this it was really personal, and it was like it just sort of like I've set my mind to it, and I've actually achieved something, and this is my dream. Like I remember sitting in a bar in Turkey years ago, like just watching Gordon Shedden, thinking I'd love to do that one day, and now I'm doing it. It's massive thanks to Vince Caldicott, who's my main sponsor, who's brought me in from day one and said, "You keep winning, I'll keep sponsoring you, and I'll keep the dream going." And he kept his side of the bargain, and my manager Paul Whitnell, He's the president of the British Irish and Trading Alliance, so he brings a lot of good for the UK and Ireland, and bring in the construction industry and stuff. And he knows commercially exactly where he needs to put me and stuff to build my career. And my brother Drew and my wife and my kids, it's just like everyone. It's a massive. I just do the easy bit. I just get in the car and drive it. I mean, they all pick up all the pieces that I leave behind. But it is an incredible journey.
I know how much emphasis you place on your family as well. So really, the Jack Sears night was the perfect night for you, wasn't it?
It was. It really was. We ordered in a Chinese to Brands Hatch. It pulled up right in front of the RV. I grabbed hold of that. I had a couple of beers. I was like, right, first night of I'm a Celebrity, and we just laid on the sofa and watched that. So it was really nice, like, to spend it with the family. Instead, the night before, the year before, I was up in the hotel dancing with Colin Turkington under my arm with my team on that on his head, like completely wasted. It's some real good memories I've had. It was so weird, like partying with them guys. So
you kind of almost put me off my next question on that one, or the follow on to that, because only with age can you really feel about being in the moment, like you say, with the maturity and coming into it later, and actually understanding the magnitude of what you've achieved this year.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I've been very real. I've been myself. I've been, even from winning the go-karting that day and letting the young lads have the prizes. It just goes to show, like, I think the maturity is coming out of my driving as well. Giving the bit of room to the pro, like the pros. The Turkingtons, the Matt Neals, the Platos last year put me in good stead, and I've got a very good relationship. Jason Plato's 52 or 51, 52, and he's been there for many years, and he was the first one to come up and congratulate me at Silverstone when I got P9 last year. And it's just, you show respect to people, and you treat people where you want to be treated. But sometimes, and this is not aimed at anyone, but when you're young and you're enthusiastic, or you're just chomping at the bit, and you stand on anyone's head to get to the top, and sometimes that's not the way to go. You just got to keep putting yourself in a shop window. I run a business, so I'm very good commercially, monetary wise, and everything else. I just try and juggle it all, and that's why I think I've been successful, because maturity's come out in my driving as well. So,
how did the Rich Energy connection come about?
It's a funny story. I mean, like anything, you're looking for commercial partners all the time. I'm a little bit controversial character, and I really liked the brand, and I really, I know obviously the Haas deal and William Story and stuff, and it created waves. And I looked at the brand and I thought, if we've got a fan's favourite, he can cut this, but he can cut them bits. But if we've got like fans' favourite, and we've got a brand struggling with, how do you put it? It's struggling with, the fans have turned against this brand. And I looked at the Rich Energy, and I thought, you know what? I think if I could turn this round and it become a successful brand, and I can change it, then I can pretty much do anything with any brand, if I could make this work. And funnily enough, I got on Twitter and I wrote to William Story and told him my story. And I like the David versus Goliath, the Rich Energy versus the Red Bull, and smashing its way into the market. And I referred to myself a bit like that to him. And he said, look, obviously it's a tough year with COVID, just come into it and stuff, and come back in 6 months. So I thought, I'm not leaving it there. So I went to Rich Energy on Twitter and wrote to them, but I didn't know it was still William Story's account. And, so he then wrote back and said, look, he obviously could see that I was really pushing, and I was eager to support the brand, And I said, look, I don't even want the money. I just want the okay to use the brand, because if I can turn this around, I can show guys and other brands that I'm here. And so they gave me a KJ's number, who me and her, just the first time I spoke to her, you know, we just hit it off. And she said, so, you know, sorry, we can't do this, we can't do that. And I said, look, I don't care. And we struck a deal in the end, just where we hit it off. And I said, look, trust me, this is going to be good. And we released it, and we had a few negative comments, but I believe since then we've had not one. And the Rich Energy brand and OMG, it's gone from strength to strength to strength. And I'm a real proud ambassador of the brand, and I really like what we've done and how you guys have helped me work with the fans. And you know, we had so much Rich Energy to give out to the fans this year, and no one's turned up. So
it does exist. It does
all
exist.
My mechanics absolutely love the drink, so they've just been like, I turn up and they're like magpies. They're just waiting at my camper, like, for me to get the Rich Energy out. So, but it's been really good, and you know, we've got some strong brand ambassadors, and the company's getting stronger and stronger and going from strength to strength. And I really look forward to working with them in 2021. We've got some exciting stuff. You know, the computer game, Toka Touring Cars, coming out this year. Biggest, you know, platform that we can boost on. And so I'm looking forward to getting involved in that with Rich Energy. And also there's so much exciting stuff that we've got coming up for 2021. And hopefully getting a lap on your superbike is going to be one of the most exciting moments of 2021.
That's something we're going to make happen. Don't you worry about that. Doesn't matter where it is, any circuit that you can get to, we'll make that happen. And okay. Skippy's going to be so pleased to see you.
Oh, I'm gonna wish I've never said that.
There will be video evidence.
Already going.
There'll be video footage before and after, and the white knuckles and the white face and the green.
We'll put a mic in and just hear me screaming like a girl.
Creasy, thank you so much for your time. We will catch up again in the new year once the new deal gets finalized and you know where you're going. Get some testing out the way, the first couple of rounds. We'll get you back on the show, see where things are, and hopefully, as we said before the show, we'll come down to Alton Park and you can show me around the British touring car.
Yeah, mate, I look forward to it. And yeah, like I say, keep tuned, because it's going to be some exciting stuff happening soon.
I look forward to it. All the best for 2021.
Cheers, guys.
We'll speak soon.
Thanks.